You think you're ready to retire in Las Vegas? Well, think again. What nobody tells you is that living here isn't just hot, it's hostile. Triple-digit heat that traps you indoors for months. Cooling bills that crush your wallet. A housing market spiraling out of reach. And that's just scratching the surface. Or is it? In this video, I'm exposing the brutal reality of retiring in Las Vegas beyond the lights and the low taxes. From the relentless desert heat to the rising cost of living, 24/7 casinos to the risk of senior scams. But whether you're looking for a fresh start or a forever home, you need to know exactly what you're stepping into. But I'm going to put things in perspective. I'm going to share with you my experience, and I wouldn't have been here for 23 years if I thought these brutal realities that I'm seeing on some of these videos just to garner some views. And we're starting off with brutal reality number one, and that's this so-called relentless desert heat that silently controls everything about your life, or doesn't. And yes, let's talk about it, and that brings us to brutal reality number one: the heat will control your life. That's what I've heard. And here are some good questions. Will the heat really control your life? What are the typical summer temperatures in Las Vegas? How does the heat affect daily routines and health? What are the financial impacts of cooling your home? Now here's some facts, friends. There's approximately 130 plus days of 90 plus degree weather. And if you're from the north or in the Midwest and it's cold all winter, you're going to appreciate those 130 days over 90, let me tell you. Now, the summer highs regularly exceed 110. That is true. They can get pretty warm and toasty on some days. Some days it can get hotter than that, but not every day of the summer is like that. Now, AC units wear out faster. It takes about 20 to 25 years to wear out a new air conditioner. They last a pretty good long time, especially if you take care of them. I've got a guy who can fix anything. Heat-related ER visits spike in July and August. Well, that is true in the summer, especially for men 14 to 64. I'm 65, so I'm not worried about the ER visits. I've never had an ER visit in the summer, and I played a lot of golf out in the summer heat. I know that if somebody's out golfing and doing a lot of drinking alcohol in the summer heat, that might cause a heat-related ER visit. But actually, when I did the stats, Las Vegas isn't the worst in terms of summer heat. Phoenix has more ER visits. Parts of the South have more ER visits. We're on the list, of course, for our hot weather, but we're not at the top, believe it or not. But here's another fact. The heat's not that bad. People acclimate and get used to it. And those of us love it here wonder what all the fuss is sometimes. Now, here's some things people really like about the Las Vegas weather. We have 290 plus degrees of sunshine every year. Now, I always say 300, but honestly, I've never actually counted them. We have a lot of days with sunshine, I can tell you that. We have mild, snow-free winters, except some years when it actually does do a little bit of dusting. It's so fun to see snow on palm trees. Everybody's happy on days that it snows in Las Vegas. It's not common. And if you feel depressed when it's cloudy outside, this would be a great place to combat that because we don't have a lot of cloudy weather in Las Vegas. Now, we have year-round golf and outdoor activities, summer, spring, fall, and winter. And yes, outdoor activities are a little bit more difficult in the summer. You have to plan for it. Most people do their outdoor activities in the morning. Now, here are some of the things people don't like about the weather here in Las Vegas. It can be dangerous in some cases for elderly adults. I have a friend who's got a medical condition, and she travels to the Pacific Northwest every summer because the heat does not agree with her. It causes her medical condition to get worse. In July and August, people do limit their activities mostly to the mornings. Sometimes in June it gets warm early. And then there's the psychological toll of being stuck indoors. Staying indoors a little bit when it's extremely hot outside and doing outdoor things in the morning doesn't really have a psychological toll on people, but I just find that the weather here is not that bad. It is hot in the summer here. Sometimes it's darn hot. Well, when you retire in Las Vegas, you don't just live around the desert, you live around the heat. From June through September, it's hot. It's oppressive hot. No, it's not that bad. I've had clients that moved here that felt they could golf every day, and instead they're indoors every day from around 11 to 7 p.m. They've already golfed in the morning. My own electric bill last July, well, it was $20. I had solar. Probably would have been over $400. I've got 3,000 square foot home, 2 air conditioners. They're not the newest. I've got an older home. The newer homes are a little bit more efficient, and $430 in the summer really isn't too bad with a big house, to be honest with you. The average bill here is about $121 according to the power company. Now, I do recommend blackout curtains for your bedrooms if you'd like to sleep in the morning when the sun comes up. It does get a little bit bright. And I always recommend a smart thermostat. Ours lets us know when we're leaving, lets us know when we're coming back, and it adjusts the temperatures a little bit and saves us a little bit of money. You will learn to schedule your life around the worst parts of the day. I do recommend a cooler in your trunk, however, if you have frozen foods, and that'll help keep them from thawing out while you're driving home. And it's the little things like that that make living in the desert actually pretty easy. People put the sun shields, against their windshield inside their car to help keep the heat out. That's something that people do. Park in the shade. If it's a really hot summer day and your AC goes out and it's going to take more than a day to fix it, I might recommend getting a hotel room. It's going to definitely be uncomfortable. How dangerous it is, I don't know, with fans and swimming pools. And if the heat and the fuss about it doesn't wear you down, the next thing might, especially if you're planning to live on a fixed income. And that brings us to brutal reality number 2. The cost of living isn't what it used to be. Do you know anywhere where the cost of living is what it used to be? I don't. How does the cost of living compare to fixed retirement income? What is driving the price increases? Are there still affordable areas? The median price home in Las Vegas is still in the mid to high 400s. Now, rent for a 2-bedroom apartment is probably around $1,700 a month around. Now, HOA fees in 55-plus communities and elsewhere can run $200 to $350 a month. I've seen them lower and I've seen them much higher. There's an influx of out-of-state buyers driving up prices. I mean, it actually is true. We have a lot of demand. Las Vegas has a lot to offer, and people come from everywhere. I was an out-of-state buyer when I got here, and most people that live here are out-of-state buyers. And so demand is one of the things that is driving up prices. The other thing is that the government wrote money, and now everything costs twice as much. I don't care if you're in Las Vegas or Iowa, things have gotten expensive everywhere. And it does affect people on a fixed income more than people who have more flexible forms of income. At least in Las Vegas, there's no state income tax. And it is still way cheaper to live here than in California, most of the West Coast, the Midwest, the East Coast. It is cheaper to live here in Las Vegas, especially for everything that we have here. Las Vegas has a lot to offer. Now, there are many options that are affordable for many people. I've got people buying in the 300s and 400s, and depending on what you're wanting, that's actually doable. It might require some updating, it might require some choices and decision-making, that kind of thing, but there are affordable options in Las Vegas, even with the prices that have gone up. But that said, everywhere I look, I see inflated prices on everything. Houses, food, gas, you name it, I see it everywhere. And now, some of the things people don't like about Las Vegas, well, prices are rising faster than Social Security cost of living increases. Well, that is probably true, but it's probably true everywhere, no matter where you are. Now, I've heard people say that locals are being priced out of long-term neighborhoods. Well, like in every city, there is some gentrification going on, and that does price out people that are in those neighborhoods a little bit. People feel like they want to invest in neighborhoods, bring up the neighborhoods and invest in them and remodel and that kind of thing. And that does kind of price out people that wanted cheaper homes. And that's a little bit true here, I'm sure, and I'm sure it's true everywhere. Now, here's something that is true. Dining on the Strip has gotten out of control. It's crazy on the Strip. We hear it all the time. The Strip is too expensive, and you're hearing so much pushback. I'm sure that they're going to lower some of the prices and, start making some bargains if people don't come to Las Vegas as much to visit. But if you live here, the Strip prices don't really affect you that much, especially if you're a retiree. Many people don't spend a lot of time on the Strip. We don't typically go down to the Strip to eat dinner. There's so many nice places all around the suburbs. Very good restaurants, 5 stars all over the place. Now, it is true that Vegas used to be a retirement secret where you can get a cheap house, but that's just not how it is anymore. Houses are not necessarily cheap here. So yes, more demand means that it costs more. It just does. It costs a little bit more. Housing here is a bit higher than average. Groceries and food here are a bit higher than average. And that's, I guess, a premium for living in a place that's so amazing like Las Vegas. At least that's how I feel about it. You tell me how you feel about it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it below. And speaking of prices, there's one place in Las Vegas where people lose more money than they ever expected. And that brings us to brutal reality number 3, the casino temptation is real. Now, just how accessible are casinos to retirees? How does gambling affect retirees financially? And are there resources for problem gambling? How do retirees manage the temptation? There are slot machines in gas stations, grocery stores, and pharmacies. Are there? I don't think I've ever seen a slot machine in a pharmacy, and I don't see it in all the new grocery stores either. A few of the old school ones, they have them. Some of the 7-Elevens have them. I've seen them in a few gas stations, but They're not everywhere like they used to be. And yes, we are considered to be among the highest places in problem gambling, but it's not something that I personally see a lot with my clients, but I do know that it's there. Many casinos offer local-only perks to encourage frequent visitors, and that's true. A lot of them have their local cards and things like that. They do encourage people to come and visit the casinos. Here's another fact. Gambling addiction is common among retirees on fixed income. It's also common amongst other people as well. I worked actually in the addiction and recovery business in my first career. I was a licensed counselor in Texas. Actually did work with people addicted to gambling, not from Las Vegas. They were from the East Coast. You can bet on a sports game anywhere you want in this country. If you have a gambling problem, you'll know it before you move here, especially if you're a senior. And here's another fact. Las Vegas probably has more resources for problem gambling than any other state. They kind of had to. They had the only legalized gambling in all 50 states for a long time. And so the state mandated a certain amount of assistance for people with problem gambling. So we actually have more help for it here if there's a person that's a problem gambler. Now, a lot of things people like about the casinos is that there is entertainment and socialization close to home. I mean, they're kind of fun places to take. They're almost kind of family oriented. When my grandbabies were here, we went down to Mandalay Bay and went to the swingers club there where they had the putt-putt golf. That's what they call the putt-putt golf place. And it's just indoor putt-putt golf for adults and kids that the grandbabies loved. Then we went up to the little game room and played whack-a-mole for a while, and that was fun. A lot of these casinos have movie theaters and all kinds of fun things for people, adults, families to do, and you kind of almost forget for a moment that you're at a casino until you walk through the casino floor again. Now, the loyalty programs they have really do offer value if you enjoy going to those entertainment places a lot or gamble there or do some things like that. The loyalty programs really do pay off. And now a lot of retirees and other people actually do enjoy low stakes gambling. I mean, I'm not a gambler. I'm not very good at it. I don't think it's all that fun, but a lot of people do. I suppose that the easy access could lead to more compulsive gambling. That's probably, why we have a little bit more of it here. Now, if you really get stuck gambling, the financial losses can be devastating. I've heard stories. I don't know anybody personally that's lost everything from gambling, but I've heard stories out there. They say the social pressure to gamble is real. I don't really feel it. I'm not a gambler. I don't feel any pressure to gamble. Maybe some people do. I don't feel any. I have a friend that loves going to bet on games once in a while over at the sports books, and he'll ask me if I want to put in a bet, a prop bet or this or that on the Super Bowl, and not really that fun for me, so I usually don't participate. And he's got a family. He's doing great. He's not a compulsive gambler. He just enjoys a little bit of low stakes gambling once in a while. People kind of like that. They go to the sports book and you've got these giant TVs all over the wall. So if you like sports, you like gambling on it a little bit, you can make a little bet and watch your games, multiple games on all the big TVs. It's not a bad place to go watch sports if you like sports. I don't know anybody personally that has had problems with gambling here. I just know that some people do. The casinos really are everywhere here. So if you do have a problem gambling, you'll find out quickly, although with gambling everywhere now, I think if you have a problem, you'll already know about it. And if you have a problem gambling, maybe Las Vegas is not the place for you. But for the rest of us who, like me, are terrible gamblers, I don't gamble, or gamble low stakes, or maybe a professional gambler like my client that wants to live across the street from the Wynn, maybe Las Vegas is the perfect place for you. But if you think that gambling is the only trap that retirees can fall into, then think again. There's another kind of danger that targets seniors directly. And that brings us to brutal reality number 4, and I'm talking about senior scams and financial predators. What scams target retirees in Las Vegas? Why are seniors especially vulnerable? What protections exist? And how can retirees protect themselves? Nevada ranks in the top 10 for senior targeted scams. Our demographic in Las Vegas, the one that's growing faster than all the other demographics, is 65 and older. So if they're going to scam people, they're going to go where older people are. Let's face it, seniors are more vulnerable to these kind of scams. Some scams that you see are fake home repair, fake contractors that don't do their job. Investment fraud is seen sometimes. Romance scams, see that on Facebook a lot. Retirees in 55 plus communities are targeted via public directories. I haven't seen that, but I wouldn't be surprised if a scammer wants you, they'll find your information. Now, here's another fact about that. Nevada has a senior protection unit in the Attorney General's office. Not only that, there are awareness campaigns and workshops about that are growing. And a number of the HOAs, especially the 55 plus communities, offer education about these kind of scams. They offer lots of education programs for seniors, and scams is just one of them. I mean, here's what happens. Some of these scammers are very high-tech oriented, and they can target low-tech seniors. I mean, it's just easier they're a bit more vulnerable. That is something serious, and it's everywhere in the country, not just in Las Vegas and Nevada. We just happen to have a growing population of 65 and older, so there's probably a bit more of it here. Oftentimes, the financial losses are unrecoverable, and many scams go unreported due to embarrassment, I suppose, especially the romance scams. If you fall for one of those pretty girls texting you on Facebook. Now, I don't know anybody this has happened to, but I know that there are people that have had that call from their grandson, Johnny, who's in jail, and Grandma, can I have some money to help me get out of jail? And they know this and that from Facebook. I've heard of those scams happening. I've read about them. I don't know anybody personally that's had that happen to them. People really do need to be careful about giving their personal information out, especially over the phone, over to strangers. Don't do that. Sometimes there are contractors that use fake contracting numbers, and they go around and they take bids and money from people and don't do any work at all, and that is a total scam. That is something that you have to be careful of. I don't see it often, but I have heard of it happen. I mean, let's face it, retirees here and everywhere are seen as easy targets, especially if they live alone and they aren't very tech savvy. The best defense is awareness. If something feels off, it probably is. And if somebody demands money fast, it's probably a red flag. Ask somebody, ask your friend's opinion, ask a family member, get somebody's advice before you sign over some money to somebody that you don't know. Even if you can avoid the scams and the slots, there's one thing you can't avoid because it's literally in the air. And that brings us to brutal reality number 5. Desert living is brutal and beautiful. Just how does the desert environment affect daily life here? What are the downsides of dust, dryness, and sun exposure? How do retirees adapt their homes and routines? And here are some facts. Las Vegas has less than 5 inches of rain per year. We don't get a lot of rain. In fact, when it rains, we like it. Dust buildup requires frequent car washes and HVAC filter changes. My HVAC guy recommends the cheap filters and change them out every month, and they work better than the very dense filters that put too much of a workload on your unit. UV exposure shortens the lifespan of roofs, paint, and outdoor furniture. Now, it doesn't affect the concrete tile roofs that much. Dry air causes skin issues, nosebleeds, and dehydration. Well, it doesn't cause dehydration if you drink enough water. Not everybody gets nosebleeds. I do like to moisturize my skin. I think everyone in the desert should probably moisturize. My skin can get a little dry, and it has acclimated over the years, I will say. Now, the great thing about our situation is that there's not a lot of humidity. People don't like the humidity, but the dryness does allow the dust to float around a little bit more. Now, there's a low risk of mold and mildew, of course, unless you have plumbing problems. That's when we see a mold issue. Desert landscaping is low maintenance. It can be very low maintenance, and it's also beautiful when done artistically. Some people complain about constant dust and dirt, and I don't find it that bad. I have my door open all the time in the spring and fall, and I don't find the house much extra dusty. Another thing people don't like is that in Las Vegas, water restrictions limit personal choice. Now, it's not so bad in North Las Vegas and Henderson, but in Las Vegas, they have tiered pricing. So if you have a small lot, you won't really notice anything. The allotments were based on small lot size. And so if you have a large lot like I do, half an acre, you have the same water allotment in Las Vegas as someone on a small lot. It's not really fair, but that's how they do it. And so if you use more water like I do, for example, I've got 36 trees, 7 big pine trees. It's a big lot, so I have trees. And more trees than the average lot because I have a lot of space. And so they don't care in Las Vegas. Not the case in Henderson and North Las Vegas, but in Las Vegas, people pay tiered pricing. There's even a guy getting ready to sue the water department because it's not fair. However, on a small lot like you have with most retirement homes, you will not notice any increase in water prices. It's just not a big deal. Main thing is you don't want to have a leak get out of control, so you do want to watch your irrigation. Some people even have an automatic shutoff valve on their main water supply, not just to save the damage on the house in case of a plumbing leak, but to save the cost of the water, because it would be very expensive if you had a continuous leak. Another thing people say is that dry air can aggravate respiratory and skin conditions, and I suppose that's possible, but I find that the sun actually helps a lot of the skin conditions I have. Yesterday, on the same day, I had somebody ask me, a new person coming to town, how dusty is Las Vegas? I said, well, it's probably a little dustier than where you're from. And then same day, another person said they're getting ready to move to Las Vegas because it helps their asthma. So you tell me, does it help or hurt respiratory problems? I think it just depends on the individual. Now, on new homes, they don't allow putting in lawns. They don't make you take out a lawn, but if you want to take out your lawn and put in desert landscaping, they'll pay you per square foot to do it. It's actually a pretty good deal. And while the desert might be dry, the city is anything but quiet. And that brings us to brutal reality number 6, the city that never sleeps, even in the suburbs. How noisy is Las Vegas outside the Strip? What types of noise affect retirees? Probably the same kind that affects everyone else. Just a guess. Now, if you do want to retire here, are there quieter areas to live? This is what my script says. Fireworks are common all year round. That's not true. They happen about twice a year, 4th of July and New Year's. Occasionally you'll hear some going off. They can be pretty annoying around 4th of July and New Year, I'll tell you that, but you don't hear them every day or every week. Noise complaints have increased 20% over the last 5 years. That might be true, I don't know. More people here, probably more complaints. Some 55-plus communities are near event venues or busy roads. I can't really think of any 55-plus community near an event venue. I have to think about that one. I know many of the 55-plus communities host events. If they have a little outdoor concert or music festival at a 55-plus community, you might hear that if you were close by in the neighborhood. You might even be over there enjoying yourself. And here's another one that's on my script. Drag racing, late night traffic happens every so often. Well, that is kind of true. Every once in a while, there's a funny little area of town where there's some secluded streets and some kids will get out there and do some car racing. I guess you see that in every town. I do hear about it once in a while, but I'm pretty sure that the police hear about it too, and they don't like that kind of thing going on. Now, the thing that people do like about Las Vegas is that there are endless entertainment options. You can do just about anything you want to do, any time of the day or night, just about. Night owls and shift workers thrive here. That is true, but I'm not much of a night owl these days. I go to bed early, get up early, work. I thrive here pretty well too. Some suburbs offer more peace and quiet. I suppose that's true. If you're closer to a busy street or closer to a highway, you might hear a little bit more traffic noise. Light sleepers might struggle. I honestly don't hear the noise inside my house at all, on the outside, unless it's the 4th of July, or maybe the landscapers are outside with their machines going or something like that. I hear that inside my house. Fireworks and parties can happen any day. I suppose that's possible, but that has not been my experience. I don't see fireworks or parties happening around anywhere I live every day. I mean, occasionally there's a party nearby. You know, somebody's hosting a party in their backyard and you can hear a little bit of something, but that's just not something that I experience on a common basis. Noise ordinances are inconsistently enforced. I don't know that to be true at all. Can't confirm or deny that. I know that the police take it pretty seriously if there's a lot of crazy noise going on, and probably do something about it. Now, my script here says I live 6 miles from the Strip, which I do, and that I hear fireworks on every Tuesday night, which I do not. Vegas doesn't sleep. Yes, it's a 24-hour town. You can find something to do 24 hours a day, and I can see the city center area from my backyard, but I don't hear it when the Raiders or the Golden Knights win or lose. I suppose if the neighbors are watching and their windows are open and they're screaming because some touchdowns are made, I might hear that. There is a park a few blocks away from my house, and they have baseball fields there, so when a kid hits the ball pretty well, gets a home run or something, I can hear people cheering once in a while on Friday evenings. Actually, that's a sound I kind of enjoy. But if you are looking for extra peace and quiet, you kind of need to be strategic about it. There are areas that are more quiet than others. For example, Lake Las Vegas is probably one of the quietest areas that I've experienced. Summerlin, pretty quiet, but if you're near the 215 or Summerlin Parkway, it's going to be a little bit noisy for you, so it's really important to be strategic about where in the neighborhood, no matter which neighborhood it is that you live in, because if you're close to one of the busy areas, you can hear it a little bit more. And I definitely do not recommend any of my clients buy right on a busy street. There's a lot of activity going down on the Strip all the time, but from 6 miles away, when F1 is here, I cannot hear the cars. Life is pretty peaceful for us, and even though we're quite a bit in the middle of the city, occasionally we'll hear cars on Saturday nights, loud ones. But even if you find that perfect, quiet, perfectly peaceful neighborhood to live in, there's one more thing that might make you question your decision to retire here. And that brings us to brutal reality number 7, revolving neighborhoods and shifting communities. Why is Las Vegas so transient? How does turnover affect the community and connection? Are there stable retirement communities? It is true that Las Vegas does have some of the highest turnover rate in the US. Think about it. People come here, entertainers, people trying to make it on a show in a strip or something like that. They come here for a little while and then move out. That kind of lifestyle doesn't really apply to retirees or people that are stable and have jobs and have been here for a long time. But there is a number of people who that kind of come through town and blow in and blow out. And we have a reputation for that. It's just not one that I see a lot in my daily activity. Many residents of Las Vegas stay for less than 3 years. Well, that's probably true, again, in that more transient population that's trying to make it here, get a job here, do a show, be an entertainer. There's a number of people that kind of try to do that. It's kind of like going to Hollywood and making it in movies. I think there's a little element of that here as well. But it's not something I see in the senior communities at all. The communities in the suburbs that I work in, as far as I can tell, are very stable. Seasonal residents create inconsistent social circles. Well, I guess that's one way of looking at it. I have friends that are here. They have 2 homes. They live elsewhere. I do miss them when they're gone. And I enjoy it when they come back, but there are plenty of people left in Las Vegas to have fun with when my friends who have second homes live elsewhere. So I wouldn't say that my social circle is inconsistent because of that. Some 55+ communities have more stable long-term residents. I don't know which ones those are. As far as I can tell, they're all pretty stable. I mean, there's a lot of reasons people leave 55+ communities. Very rarely is it because they can't get a job in the entertainment scene on the Strip. People usually leave because, well, health reasons. They have to go live with family elsewhere so they can be cared for, or they move into a more advanced care type facility. But I don't see a lot of people leaving these communities for other reasons than that very often. One of the greatest signs of Las Vegas is that it's easy to meet people here. I mean, people come here from all over, so there's a lot of fresh energy and new perspectives all over if you just open your eyes up to them. And then, of course, the active adult communities, which I love, have built-in social opportunities. Their social clubs, programming, all of that kind of stuff really helps solidify your social life when you're getting older and you've given up work, you've retired, you don't have that social activity going on anymore. You have to put yourself out there. And like I said before, what you put out, generally you get back. I've made some of the best friends I've ever had here in Las Vegas, and you know what? I'm still making new friends all the time. I love living in Las Vegas, and I really think it's something that you have to experience and feel for yourself. Now, if you're still thinking about retiring in Las Vegas after listening to all these terrible, brutal realities, which kind of really weren't that bad, were they? Then you're probably one of the people that can make it work here. I will say that choosing the right neighborhood that suits your lifestyle, your taste, all your check boxes, I think that's key to having a good experience here in Las Vegas. And that's where I come in. I help retirees every day figure out if Las Vegas is going to be a good fit for them. Remember, my only goal is that you're happy with your choice. Call me, text me anytime, Google me. I'm the only Micah Bleecher on the internet. And let's talk about what retirement in Las Vegas can look like for you. And if you're wondering where the best places to retire actually are, then don't miss my next video. That's where I break down all the best places to retire in Henderson, Nevada, from peaceful to affordable, from active to upscale. Click here and I will see you there. My name's Micah Bleecher, and I am always here to help you find the perfect place to call home. Thank you for being with me, friends. I will see you on the next video. Peace out. Love you. Thank you so much.